is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Yacht Nerd Podcast. I'm Zach, the Yacht Nerd, and today we have episode 3. We're going to be talking about the best boats for your budget. Sorry, it's written on the board behind me and it's going a little bit behind me, but that's why I'm a nerd, because I don't think about those things before I get started. So anyway, getting into our podcast today. As we've been doing these, we've been doing a long version of these podcasts. This is the long version, and we go into extreme detail, and then we'll follow up shortly after with a short version, kind of summarizing everything we said. But today we have a really important topic that's going to touch on many of our boat owners and our brokers who are helping new boat owners find the perfect boat. And as chartering, day chartering, bareboat chartering, and Section 179 have become more and more prevalent in the last few years, these are really important topics that I get asked all the time. Like, what kind of boat should I buy? What type of boat should we be buying? And the first question I ask, well, what's your budget? Do you have a $10 million budget? Because you shouldn't be talking to me if you do. Or do you have a $10,000 budget? And a rule of thumb is, you can really get started in this game with about $50,000. That's your minimum budget to get in, $50K. So I wanted to kind of go from a few different levels of boats and talk about the best boat for your budget and talk about potential returns on these boats, the upside, the downside. And as always, I want to make sure that we all understand I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a tax accountant. This is informational only. This is not legal advice. Okay, so this isn't legal advice. This isn't tax advice. Everything I say can be verified and should be verified with a licensed tax accountant. However, this is some good shit here. Today, we're going to talk about what boats are performing the best on our platform and why, and what types of returns are those owners getting. So let's jump in right away. What I've done is I've gone ahead and pulled up several different categories. Let's review what those categories are. We started off at a minimum budget, 40 to 50K. Guarantee you end up spending 50K. And you should always consider that once you buy a boat, you've bought a project. Okay. We're going to try to avoid those projects, and we're talking about which projects to avoid, but you've probably bought a project. So keep that in mind. We're here to help with those projects and streamline them because we do have a yacht management program. However, let's do the most turnkey thing we can possibly do and go from there. So I'm going to put the phone on airplane mode so I don't get interrupted. All right. First budget, 40 to 50K. Second budget, we're going to review 75 to 100K. Third budget, 200K to 300K. Fourth budget, 400K to 500K. 500K to $1 million. And then, of course, 1 million to 2.7 million. After 2.7 million, if anybody watched the previous episodes, you know why I picked that number. It is the maximum year one deduction of Section 179. And again, Section 179 is the number one reason boat owners, bigger boat owners especially, get into this program. And that is the tax rebate, the full purchase price in year one, back to your boat, back from your boat purchase price. So if it's $1 million boat, you could be getting 400K back. If it's 2.7 million times 0.4, 40%, we're looking at $1,080,000 back, $1,080,000. It is a lot of money to come back to a boat, and it's a great way to sell boats. But we're going to talk about which boats to sell, not how to sell it. If you want to watch that episode, go back to episode 2 and watch episode 2 on Section 179. Watch the short first and watch the long. Okay. Or long then short, really doesn't matter. If you're a broker, you should know all this stuff. So let's get started with 40 to 50K. I've already pulled these boats up and I've gone to Yacht World, our most favorite and least favorite tool as brokers, I'm sure, and especially the dealers who pay for these things. I heard they're extremely expensive. So anyway, but it's a good search tool. So I'm not condoning using this. Of course, I know most of you have to. I think it's a great search tool and it really helped me do my homework today. So maybe it helps you get, if you're a boat buyer, maybe it helps you get connected with a broker. The first boat that I found in the 40 to 50K range. So what I did find, I found a lot of these cruisers here for like 270s, 260s, 200 somethings. Let me just say, you want to be around 30 feet to get started in this game. And the reason you want to be around 30 feet is really because of the passenger capacity. Okay, so passenger capacity is extremely important. So rather than buy a 270, 280. What else we had? 290. Everything seemed to be in these ranges. One of the things I recommended was this pontoon right here. Pontoon boats absolutely crush it on lakes, on intercoastal waterways, sandbar parties, you name it. Pontoons anywhere and everywhere always end up winning. They are cheap to maintain. They are cheap to upgrade. They are cheap. That's just a good word. So people can get in and do a half-day charter for 12 people, around $100 a pop, if not less, probably $75 a pop. And the owner can make good money. The captain can make good money. The boat stays safe and people have a good time. So upgrading a stereo on this is a couple $100. You know, it may be $1,000 at the most, head unit and 4-6 speakers, one sub, you know, so it's really easy. So a couple of the perks and a couple of the notes that I had, I looked at this pontoon and I said, if you're at 40 to 50K price range, I'd be looking at pontoons, nothing else. If let's say, now one of the rules I have here, and we'll go over some of the rules of doing this later in the video, but one of the rules I have is always consider yourself in this equation if it's not strictly as a business. Most of our boat owners are not doing this strictly as a business. So the first thing I always say is think of yourself first, put you first. Does that work for me? Does that work for my family? If it does, get the pontoon. If your family needs a cruiser, wants a cruiser, you and your wife or girlfriend or boyfriend or husband or whatever want to sleep on the boat occasionally or something like that, maybe the pontoon's not the best decision. So try to find something in the 30-foot range. It really does something to the renter's brain. Okay, so in review, 45K asking price for this 2006 30-foot pontoon. You almost probably don't have to do anything to it. I don't know. I'm not going to go into depth, and it's offered by MarineMax, one of our partners. So we can get you in touch with a broker at MarineMax or the broker that's selling this. You can get in this thing and it's pretty much probably going to be, I'm guessing it's going to be turnkey, and you're ready to rock and roll. So 45K range, that's what we're talking. 50K range, that's what we're talking. The next category, now let's review some of my notes as well. I said that, what are your needs for this? Okay, so we have stereo. You're going to must have a stereo. If you're going to charter, you must have a stereo. You want to find seating for 13 passengers. If it's under 35 feet or under 40 feet, I'm sorry, or 35 foot for a catamaran, you need a captain and a mate. Here, you keep your price low because you only need a captain. And that's doing it our way. That's what we recommend. That's not required, but that's what we recommend. So power, you need decent power. You need like a 150 or a 200 on the back of that thing. A 150 should get the job done because you're going to be pushing around 13 people plus the boat. And then the alternative I said was a 30-foot cruiser. What to avoid is a center console. Center consoles don't do shit on our platform. They don't do well unless it's a super high-end, badass HCB 50, 60, something like that. Those get actually a lot of play. But if you're thinking about putting on your Wellcraft 210 or something like that, just stop. You're not going to make any money. It's a waste of your time. Okay. Anything with low passenger capacity, you want to maximize your passenger capacity, and you want to avoid anything that's high maintenance. So 12 plus the charter is the max. 12 plus charter plus captain and crew. You don't need crew for these boats. So you want capacity for about 13 or 14. Okay. So 14 would be the most ideal if you can get that, or a pontoon or tritoon with passenger capacity of 15 or 14. So that's what I recommend in that range. When we jump down the range, not much changes. So we're going to go back to our 75 to 100K range, and I don't mind enlarging this so you all can see it. And we're going to go ahead and go to the 75 to 100K range. I found actually gets us 35 to 40-foot cruisers. I was actually quite surprised, but you'd be shocked at how well these do, especially if you were on a lake. It's my second tab here. And so when I clicked in, I was finding 38s, 36s. I was finding this. I would avoid this just because of its look. And I was finding some pretty good 38 Sea Rays and even a sedan bridge, which is a good, if you can get a fly bridge on there with some passenger space, people like the fly bridges. They just like the look of them. So avoid. So one of the things I was saying, so 75 to 100K range actually gets you in a cruiser. That way you can have rooms, restroom, and the requirements I had here were that it has a stereo, working stereo. Now this can always be upgraded. Don't not buy a boat because it doesn't have a stereo, but you're going to need to put a stereo in, and you need it to sound good. And I would put some protecting things on there so that they can't crank the stereo up too loud and blow the speakers. So can't turn your equalizer down. And you're going to have seating again for 13 or 14. Don't buy a small cruiser of like a 30 or 35 that's a little bit newer that you can't put the maximum amount of passengers on, because you are going to decrease the number of people who want to rent your boat. Every time you bring the max passenger capacity down, you significantly limit the number of people willing to rent your boat, because now it can't be divided that many ways. These are expensive. For a half day, somebody spending $1,800 on a boat is not cheap. Whether you think it is or not, it doesn't matter what you think. It matters what the customers in the market says. And trust me, what the market says is, if I can split it 12 ways, that's a whole lot better, or 13 ways even. It's a whole lot better than 10. Okay. So try to get your max passenger capacity with a captain. That's going to be 13 people, guests, plus a captain, and maybe even a mate. Okay. So try to get up there. Now, the cruisers are typically yacht certified, don't have this issue. It's really about how much seating do you have. You don't want to stuff people down in the staterooms or in the galley or salon or any of these areas when the boat's underway. That's just uncomfortable. They want to be out in the sun. So the more space you can find on these cruisers, the better. I'll tell you right now, the Sea Ray 400 Express is absolutely killing it on our platform. Sea Ray 400 Express, killing it. Big open seating in the back. Tons of fun, easy to work on, just a great overall boat for saltwater and freshwater. So if you can find a Sea Ray 400 Express, whether that's year 2000 or whatever, these are going to be later model boats for this budget. They're actually really, really good boats to turn a profit on. These are actually profitable boats down here. The other alternative, and then let's go back. The other requirement here, you're going to need working heads. So your bathrooms have to work, have to flush, and they can't smell. Okay. And you're going to need AC that works. You need working AC on the boat. So you can get a boat at these budgets, and some of the stuff may not work, and you can work on it and fix it yourself. But to go into charter, you're going to need stereo, seating, comfortable, working head, AC, and we're going to put on a couple of toys and a cooler and stuff like that. But just keep this in mind. Okay. The alternative boat in this budget or category, 75 to 100K, I'd say is an upgraded pontoon boat. And again, remember, you want to consider yourself first. What does the family want? What is the family going to need? What is the family going to use if you're not using this exclusively as a business? Okay. So if you're actually using this boat yourself, consider yourself first. If it's for a business only, do it for a business. So anyway, we're going to go in and we're going to say, okay, an upgraded pontoon is a good substitute, newer, less maintenance, turnkey, really nice. These things have diving boards on them now, trampolines, double deckers, and these things are extremely popular. So if you want to charter more, use it with your family, have more frequent bookings, and just frequency, we manage it all for you anyway. You don't have to do anything. It's just say yes a lot. And then again, we're going to say to avoid center consoles. They don't do well, not in this price range. And any low passenger capacity vessel. You don't want to have only room for 9 people on board. You might as well just throw in the towel before you even get started. And then avoid something that's going to be super high maintenance. Look, folks, here's the real deal. If you're not a broker, brokers should be watching this video. They need to know what my customer's price range in and what should I put them in. But if you're a boat buyer and you're watching this video and you want to get something and you want to put it into charter, you want to take the tax rebate, you want to earn some money on the side, you want to pay for your boat and make it free and have a free toy. We see exotic car hacking. This is exotic boat hacking. This is yacht hacking. Okay. What you're going to want to do is avoid a high maintenance cruiser. How do you do that? Well, I'll tell you right now, get a good broker and do a great survey on the boat. Make sure that thing is going to last you, because if a motor goes out the moment you pull away, that can be $20,000, $30,000. You've almost doubled the cost of the boat for yourself and the headache and all of this stuff. So find a boat that's mechanically sound in this category. That's why the upgraded pontoon may be a better option if you don't know much about boats. Okay. All right. We're going to hop up in budget. We're going to hop up to the 200K to 300K range. Here's what we found. And look, again, boxy, that's ugly to a customer. And this is sexy. That's sexy. That's not sexy. I can't even tell what that is. The listings on here stink sometimes. That's middle ground. You could probably get away with it if you took that top off. or change the top. This Mustang 380 is borderline. I'm going to go click one more. This is still the 75 to 100K range. Commodore, we have a couple of those. The C-Ray 340 actually will crush it. Does really well. And Carver, that's a good boat. So some of these boats you're seeing, we're right in the mid-30s range in this budget. A little bit older, mid-30s range. So find something a little sexy here, something more sleek. This Donzi's not going to do it. It doesn't have enough passenger seating, so just avoid it. That's a 6-person boat. You want a 13. You want room for 15 people on board. Just think about that. Can I get 15 people on board here safely? Okay, let's bump up 200K to 300K on Yacht World. All right, now we're talking. But first thing we're going to avoid is the first thing we see: houseboats, boxy boats, slow boats that can't get anywhere. You don't want a slow boat. You don't want a super fast boat, but you don't want a super slow boat that can't get anywhere anytime fast. People want to go places. They want to see things. They don't want to just be on the boat. They want to go swimming. They want to go to islands and stuff like that. So depending on where your boat's located, you don't want a slow boat. So what does that get us in the 200 to 300K range? It gets us an older model express cruiser, flybridge, even 40 to 60 foot. Whoa, now we're jumping up. So these are getting into our top performers. You see, I have out here great budget for charter, and these are some top performers. Okay, so if we go a little bit further, here we go. Princess V58, 295,000, top into the budget. Great freaking boat. Looks sexy, holds its age well. We can always search over here on the side that we want boats in North America. That one is in North America, but it's Mexico. Even this print, so another Princess V58, sale pending. This boat, blue water, ugly, don't get it. I don't like it. It might do well at a lake where you don't have much competition, but if you're in a competitive market, that is not a sexy looking boat. C-Ray 540, absolutely. Do it. Done deal. Love it. Of course, I say do it, but you got to make sure the boat checks out. So don't just do it. Get a survey and hire a licensed broker. Okay. Pershing 54, older model, still good. Offered by Denison. That means you got good service. That means you got good brokers. So that's something I would look at if I had a 300K budget. Okay. Azimuth 52. Those hold their age. That's an older model, but you could get away with it. Now, here's what to avoid. Well, I don't know that you want to avoid this, but this is where you're getting borderline. So this is borderline older looking. This would do well at a lake or at a lower budget for the customer. So be careful. These are sexy boats and they look good and people like to book them. They are the most popular boats on the platform. And when you can get a flybridge with it, it is helpful. So let's keep going. One more. So great Sunseeker looking. For this budget, these are great. Crunchy, this looks good. Avoid this. That's Skybridge stuff. When you have those enclosed bridges, people want to be in the sun. Avoid those. They don't perform as well. We're talking about top performers here. Avoid sport fish boats. It's not what people are looking for. Is this a mistake? An Absolute 50 fly for 295,000. Yeah. A 2018. If that is for real, we got to figure out what's wrong with that. Something might be wrong, but that is a killer boat that would do extremely well. Okay. So you're finding out now that I have a 200 to 300K budget. I'm in the game. Okay. You're in a real game now. And we're going to get into in a minute things to avoid. Let's move up. Well, in this range, here's what we want to do. Some of the perks. So again, same thing, stereo, it can be upgraded. Be nice if it came with and it worked and it sounded good. Seating for 14, 15, and then working head and AC. Nothing's different. We're going to do about $1,000 in amenities on there with a lily pad and a cooler, and that's about it. And you're set. You're off to the races. Life jackets, safety gear, you're good. I mean, this is really easy to get in this game. But what you want to, the alternative is something newer or more decked out pontoon. Again, there are pontoons going for 300K right now. I don't recommend them for this. So I would almost put an NA in this category. Alternate, you're better off spending your money on what we just saw than going and buying like a super decked out pontoon and then listing it. Now you can do that and you can still take your tax write-off and you can do fewer charters and you can still do that. But if you're in this business to make money and you want to know what's doing the best, those boats are doing the best that I just showed you. What to avoid? Something super high maintenance. Again, you don't want something super high maintenance. So do a survey, have a licensed broker sell you the boat, make sure it goes through the proper processes when you're buying it. Old and ugly models, boxy, disgusting trawlers, classic boats. Those, look, I'm not calling that an ugly boat. I'm just saying for charterers, it's ugly. They don't like it. And let's be real. Some cars are sexy. Some cars are not sexy. Some boats are sexy. Some are not. Some houses are sexy. Some are not. I'm telling you what charterers want. So don't be offended if you own a trawler and you see this and you're like, oh, this guy hates trawlers. I don't personally hate trawlers. I'm just not renting one if I'm trying to impress my friends. Okay. All right, let's go to 400K, 500K. We're getting out of houseboats. We don't want that. So 400K to 500K, another awesome price range. And it's a search category on Yacht World. So you can use this as your search criteria. I've done so. I've also limited to United States searches. And let's go over firstly, what we're going to be looking at is slightly older models. We want that because we want the depreciation to have already happened and take advantage of that from somebody else. And then we want to maximize size. Because the bigger the boat, the more people are attracted to it. And also the more rentals I'm going to get. And the money overall doesn't change much. So I'm going to get more for my rental on this 15-year-old model, 10-year-old model. And I'm going to get the same, similar traffic, but less return on my investment for a newer boat. Okay. So boats hold their age well. So use that to your advantage. Get something that's 10 years old, get something that's 15-year-old and that has been well maintained. Okay. And use your broker to gauge what that is. So let's go over to 400K to 500K budget. Let's go shopping. So I've already done the search and I've categorized this again, Power North America. And we want to avoid these boxy things. Leopard, 23 meters, 75 foot. Already I'm in the zone. Okay. So now now I can actually get a lot of bookings. My price point of the charter doesn't have to be super high per half day per day for me to get a return on my investment. And these Princess V65s are going to make a huge return. And I'm going to say that wrong. Bahia, I don't know, Bahia, by Northrop, 475K. I'm in the game now. Now we're talking. So these are sexy. Avoid this. For charter, enclosed, no sun. Get out of it. It's boxy. It's ugly. Probably a great boat, but it's boxy and it's ugly. Get away from it. It's not for charter. Sport fish, get away from it. Houseboat, get away from it. Here you go. Sunseeker Predator, 60 foot. You're in the game. Let's go. Those are sexy boats. Flybridge Marquee, 59. Abso-freaking-lutely take this enclosure down and make sure that this top opens up. But yeah. No, sport fish, get away from it. Azimuth 55E, absolutely. Flybridge, it looks like it's just enclosed up here. Yep, you're in the game. Azimuth 55, you're in the game. Carver 570, this is a decent boat. We have one of these in operation right now, and it does well. Boxy, sporty, and sport fish, no. Enclosed, I would say avoid that. Carver 570, this is a good boat, but just make sure it has some sunlight and a nice swim platform and some outdoor areas, especially on the bow, that the customer can use. Okay. So you can tell in this budget, I could get an Azimuth, I could get a Sunseeker, and I can actually be in the game. Here's another one of our Ferretti 57. Great boat. Look at this. Big open sun pads, nice up top, nice flybridge up top. And it's 400K, 57 foot. I'm playing the game with some of the bigger dogs, and I have a more attractive price point to attract more customers. Okay. So these boats that I've mentioned, 400 to 500K, can and will, if done appropriately, and let us manage it in your calendars, going all that stuff, these will turn a profit. Not only will the boat pay for itself, and it will be free, you get a tax rebate. This boat will put money in your pocket if you have availability. So 400, 500K is a great price range. All right. So is 500K, but let's go look at what not to do here. Before I move on, 400K to 500K, what not to do. Well, alternate for this boat, I put an NA, because why would I get anything else? Why would I go buy? Look, you can go buy something new. You could go buy a Prestige 420 that's newer. You could probably get in one for about that. Okay. Not brand new, but very close. You could do that, but why would you? I could get more boat, which does interpret to higher costs. We'll get into that. But more boat, some costs are higher. More boat, more rentals, better price point, more cost savings, all that stuff. So I don't say there's an alternate boat for best performers. There's always an alternate boat. There's not for best performers. So get an older model, slightly older now. We're talking 10 years old. We're talking 15 years old. Definitely 2000 and newer. Something sexy looking, something sleek. If it has a fly bridge, great. Make sure it has good sun. If it's a cruiser, make sure it definitely has a bow for people to hang out on when we're at anchor, at a sandbar or something, because people like to have a good time up there. People like to have a good time on the back. They like to throw out the lily pad and swim. And that's what these boats are doing most of the time. They're going to a sandbar, parking, and not even running the motors, and you're making money. Okay. So avoid high maintenance, do your survey, avoid old, ugly models, trawlers, houseboats, classics, anything boxy, anything enclosed. Okay. So avoid those and you should be good. Tons of boats I just reviewed: Azimuth, Sunseeker, Prestige. I think we saw a Princess V58 in there. All great. So just doesn't have to be any of these brands, but something close, something that looks the same. And I would always make sure when you buy a boat brand, go look at what the service is like. What kind of engine configuration is in there? And do they service that in the United States? Okay. What kind of systems are in these and how easy is that going to be to service? Can I get quick service? Or do I have to import something from Italy? Okay. Or France or whatever. Because the more your boat is down, the more cancellations you have, then you have penalties, financial penalties from canceling because of maintenance if you're not in our yacht management program, and it's just not going to be worth it to you. So make sure you can get quick maintenance, although there is no such thing as quick maintenance right now. That's going to change. More people are flooding into this industry, but right now it's difficult. So a couple challenges, we'll get over them. Use us as your yacht managers and you'll be fine. All right, let's move on. 500K to $1 million. Now we're cranking. This is what a lot of our owners are buying. This is probably the majority of our owners. Now we're talking newer models or older. You have a wider range. It's like the second I go into here, I see a 105 Mangusta. Do you need that? Is that a good boat for day charter? Well, yeah, it's a little big actually. You don't need a 100-foot boat. You're going to be spending $40 a foot on a 100-foot boat a month, or more, and $80 if you're in Lauderdale, Bahia Mar or something like that. It's crazy. Absolutely not. Don't go with the trawlers. Don't go with these classic customs. This is actually a nice boat, this Jefferson, but an 82 is, I think, a little big for what we're doing here. This Sunseeker Predator 82, it's a nice boat. It actually could get you quite a bit of charters, depending on where you're at. This Ferretti A10, again, really good. This older Leopard, these Leopards are really cool. Right at $1 million. Leopard 78, a lot of sun area. This canopy can be pulled down. These are good. Absolutely not. Buddy Davis, great boat if you're fishing, but we're not fishing here. We're doing leisure charters. Okay. Let's keep going. Look at this Sunseeker 76, right at $1 million. I mean, if you get $1 million to spend on a yacht and you have some taxable income, get 40% back off of that, you are in the game. And that is a sick boat. So highly recommend taking a look at something like that. And even with the prices where they are right now, there's still some deals out here, because if you're offsetting your cost monthly, I mean, six charters a month on this thing will offset that cost. 4, maybe. Lazara is an incredible make and model. This is in Miami Beach. I wonder if this is Excel. Let's just click in here. Being sold by Ghost Yachts. So this Lazara is such a sexy, great boat. Okay. So these do so well. And whoever made this listing did a great job, because the photos are done. This actually looks like a charter listing, to be honest with you. Because when you have people on it, they're showing the experience. So that's a charter listing to me. That's why I know that. And it's not, you have 4 motors in this thing. Okay. Yeah. I think it's Lady H. Okay. Yeah. I've seen this. Let's see if that's, yeah, that's Lady H. Okay. I think this boat has been in charter, which is not a big deal. Just going to make sure you go really run your survey appropriately. But here's another great boat. You're talking $1 million for a fantastically sexy, highly desired boat. Okay. So let's get back to our list. So look at what we're looking at. Okay. We're in the 75 range now. Very desirable, even bigger sometimes. We are a little bit older models still. We're in the 2000s, 2004s, 2002, 2007. We're in the early 2000s still. But if these boats have been properly maintained, which a lot of them have, some of them haven't, make sure you get that survey done with a broker who knows what the hell they're doing. And you are really in this game. You are booking, and we will do a P&L for you, in fact. So I'll show you how to do that here in a second, but I just want to show you the types of boats we're looking at. That's really the purpose of this video. What types of boats should I be looking at? Absolutely no. Is this a bad boat? No, it's a great boat. Is this a great charter boat? No, not anymore. It might have been 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but it's not anymore. You need something sexy. Everyone likes that. I call it the Lamborghini look. So if you talk to me and you do an onboarding, I call it the Lamborghini look. You want it to have that Lamborghini sexy look. Okay, it's a sports car, not a Rolls Royce. All right, you want a sports car. This will definitely do well. No. Okay. So this is a lot of me just saying yes or no. Do you see how easy? I mean, it literally is that easy. And that's what your charterers are doing. They're going to our website, looking at these pictures, looking at these videos, and they're saying that's hot or that's not. And that's how you get charters. It's either hot or not. And it's that simple. Okay. Great boat, Azimuth Sea Jet. Never even known one of those. That's interesting to me, but could do well. This could even do well. A little bit more boxy, a little bit more classic feeling, but this could actually do well. So you see where we're at here with $1 million, $500K to $1 million. Okay. A lot of options. They're bigger, yielding more money back to you. I always go slightly used. So let's look at our rules for $500,000 to $1 million. We're saying 48 years old, but that's for 50-foot range and 55-foot range. If you want to go bigger and yield more and have a higher return on your investment, I would go a little bit older, 10 to 15 years old, maybe even 20. And I would be looking at those bigger 68, 75, even 80-foot vessels, up to 85 probably. Again, same stuff, stereo, seating for 15, working heads, working AC, and multiple staterooms now. So now people are going to get into that. A lot of questions around staterooms. Here's the answer. You can block off your stateroom for day charters for the owner's cabin only. So if you have 4 staterooms, you can block off one. If you have 3 staterooms, you can block off one. If you have 2 staterooms, you can block off one. If you have 1 stateroom, you can't block off any. And we can put a little sign on there. It's for its owner's quarters. And if we do book multi-day charter, which some of you might want to do, and we do some of, we'll open that up. But you can have your stuff in your locker, and the captain can have access to that, only for in case of emergency. You have to have access to it because there might be something they have to get to in there. But as long as the captain has access to that, it stays locked and it doesn't allow charters in there. You can have your owner's quarters off, but it can't be like boarded up or glued shut. I mean, you have to, for safety reasons, as ship sinks, we got to be able to maybe get in there. Okay. There might be a porthole or something you got to get out of. Okay. So, alternates, I put NA again, no alternates, just avoid high maintenance, do your survey, old and ugly models, boxy, trawlers, houseboats, classics. Get away from those. Do something sexy. Look for that Lamborghini look. You want the Lamborghini look. All right, now, here we are in our max range. When I find owners buying boats, $1 million to $2.7 million, most of them are not looking for a profitable business. I'm not a tax lawyer. I'm not going to report you to the IRS. I can't really I don't even know who to call. They're not looking to be the most profitable business. They'll attempt to make a profit, but it's not their number one goal. Their number one goal is to save taxes and generate some cost offsetting income. So they're buying newer models. So these are the folks who are going to the dealer and buying new. They're buying slightly used, brokered boats. This isn't your typically folks buying at this level, not always, but most of the time are. So this is a much broader group, and you can include the category from before, but let's go and look what this yields you. And you can start to see why older boats will probably have to reduce our search to the age of the boat. So let's go up here in our search and let's put our starting year at 2012, 10 years old. Okay. And now it yields Ferretti 830s, Ferretti 830 again, Azimuth flies, Pershing 82s at 2.5, wide range of great boats. Schaefer Pininfarina. Ooh, that's a very nice boat. Pininfarina is awesome. Look, this isn't a day charter boat. I know it's nice. You don't got to tell me. It's not a day charter boat. It's not sexy. It's not what people want. That's a personal use boat. That's maybe a small version. Well, it's not even going to fit in a term charter program. Okay. So anyway, Fairline Squad, that's a cool boat for charter at 1.7 for sure. Azimuth 77, this will crush it. Okay. These will crush it. So boats like this Troy Lee Alpha would crush it. 1.8, not bad. Azimuth 77S, I think that's the same one as this, probably. Which I don't understand the search here. Why is it listed more than once? Anyway, avoid this. It's not going to do any good. This is great boat. Sunseeker 75, absolutely 100% should do this. So there's a lot of cool, sexy boats in this category. And now we're looking, this is the core stuff I'd be looking at. I'd be looking at Sunseeker. I'd be looking at Azimuth for sure. Princess for sure. Here's another Princess V72. The V series are really cool. Ocean Alexander, not so much. They're okay. They're borderline. They are nicer when you get bigger ones. And when I say nicer, I just mean the layout and who your guests are and who's going to rent it. But you can still be dangerous in the zone. But I just recommend you getting something, 2015. Look, utilize what some other owner bought this boat, put money into it, like you were going to if you bought it brand new, modified it to be nice and accommodating. And so you can take advantage of that. Like this Azimuth right here will just smash it at 2.5 if you have a budget that high. Okay. It just depends on your budget. And this is a very wide range. A Prestige 680. This boat is killing it on our program right now. It is booked almost nonstop. You'd be shocked at how well it's doing. In Sarasota, of all places, we have one in Sarasota. We will have one in Fort Lauderdale. And the 680 is just smashing it. Okay. So doing really well. These boats can and will perform. Are they going to be profitable? Not for like 30 years. Okay, so don't think you're going to get that full 2.7 back. You're going to get 40% back on your tax rebate, maybe if you qualify, and then you're going to offset your monthly costs, but there's going to be some cost to the boat. It's going to drastically reduce your costs. That's what it's here to do. All right, so you get the idea. I've pointed out some great boats. Big no-no here. Let's go back. I'm going to stop sharing, and we're going to talk and close this video up with a few things that I recommend, and that is, let me get my notes up here. What we got going on? There's my notes. Okay. So always consider these costs. These are costs to consider. And the second thing is other things to consider is how I've categorized this. The cost to consider, cost of maintenance. Maintenance is typically a per foot cost. This is preventative maintenance. This isn't service. Service is next. So preventative maintenance is typically by the foot. Maintenance costs can vary drastically depending on where the boat is at. So you can have anywhere between 30 bucks a foot, 25 bucks a foot per month, all the way up to 40, 50, you can pretty much have people on that boat every single day. If you wanted to, we'll do whatever you want, but consider the maintenance cost, and that's a per foot cost. So the higher the foot, the more feet that you get, that's length, LOA. So like a 63-foot boat has an LOA of 65 feet. We're going to charge you by the 65 times whatever the per foot cost is. Service and repairs. The more service and repairs, or what type of service and repairs, what type of engine, that's the second thing to consider, the cost of service and repairs. What type of engine does this boat? What's the engine configuration? What kind of ACs do I have? What kind of systems do I have on this boat? Where do they come from? Do I have to ship it from overseas? Or is it US based? Do they have a plant in the US? Do they have a warehouse in the US that they ship from? Like, what's the distribution like on the things in the boat? So always consider that. It's not a deal breaker either way, but just consider it. Cost of docking per foot. So like, where am I going? What's the cost? That's another thing. Like what location am I in and what are the costs per foot there? Because that's going to drastically change the business model. Over on the West Coast of Florida, we're looking at a maximum of like 25, 30, 35 bucks a foot at the very most. And over on the East Coast, you can't find anything for less than 40, right? So you can't find a marina that's charging less than 40 bucks a foot in Fort Lauderdale or Miami. They're almost all that. Okay. And their waiting lists are like a year and a half long. So cost of docking is one. Cost of water and electricity. Okay. Water and electricity, really not that big of a factor, but the bigger the boat, the more it is. Cost of insurance. Higher the cost of the boat, the higher the cost of insurance. The bigger the boat, the more the insurance. So you typically can consider like a 2% with charter insurance, 2% of the asking price of the vessel. However, that can range drastically. That can be anywhere between 1.5% of the asking price of the vessel, the list price of the vessel, or all the way up to 2.5%, maybe even 3%. It just depends on your experience. So consider also the cost of the captain. The bigger the boat, if you get a boat that's if it's over 100 gross tons, which is typically, that's anywhere between like smallest would be like 75 foot all the way up way in the hundreds. But if it's over 100 gross tons, you probably need a full-time captain, and you need to be doing a term charter, not a bareboat charter. But with our program, you don't need a full-time captain anymore. So we have alternative solutions to that. We'll do it in another video, but you don't need a full-time captain in the traditional sense anymore. It's the old way of doing things. You don't need it. So the cost of captains is something to consider. Captain or captains. We provide on-demand captains whenever you need them, and it drastically lowers the cost. And you don't pay for captains on charters in a bareboat. So go back and watch the video. So anyway, something to consider there. Cost of captains is something to consider. Always consult with us before you make the purchase, and we'll walk you through all this stuff. Other things to consider. We talked a few of these through. What's your maximum and optimal tax deduction? So go to your tax accountant, see what he or she thinks your tax rate is, and what's your optimal tax rebate or the purchase amount. Remember, maximum amount's 2.7 in year one. I'm not a tax lawyer. I'm not a tax accountant. Get legal advice from somebody else, but this is informational. But maybe you need to write off that full 2.7 and to maximize the amount. So maybe 2.7 million makes more sense than 1, or maybe 1 makes more sense than 2.7 because you can't even take the full deduction because of the taxable income you have. So maximize your deduction. Consider term charter versus bareboat. Do I want people taking my boat out for 7 days at a time and losing access to my boat for weeks and months at a time and dedicating it and having a full-time staff of captain and crew? Is my boat big enough for that? You need a boat that's at least 85 feet and 5 staterooms now to even get started in that industry. And you have to have a full staff. So that's a lot of money. And you're not necessarily guaranteed to book up all your dates, especially when you're new to the market. So consider that. Do you want to do term charter, or do you want to do something much easier and flexible and almost equally as profitable? And that's day charter programs. Okay, so day charter, no full-time captain, no full-time crew requirements, smaller boats, smaller budgets, more flexible calendars, things like that. What are your needs and wants? That's number 3. What are your needs and wants as an owner? Do you want to use the boat every single weekend? Do you want to use the boat once a week, twice a week, once a month, twice a year? What are your wants and needs? Meet those wants and needs first. Unless this purchase is exclusively as a business and you are getting very little to no pleasure out of this boat. And when I say very little, that's like use it once every month or so. So if you're going to use the boat once a month and then give it to us the rest, great. Then don't consider yourself so much. But even a little bit of use, it's your purchase, it's your money. Be happy about it. Be proud of your boat. Enjoy it. Like it. Your calendar and availability. Again, how much are you going to use it? Where are you going to use it? How far away are you taking it? Are you returning it? Does it come back at night? Are you flexible in your dates when you want to use the boat? Because if we get a charter and it's booked, you can't use it. It's leased. There is a federal contract between you and a lessee, and they have that boat's possession for the day, not you. So it's their boat, not yours, for the day. You're getting compensated for that. Okay. But that doesn't mean you can break the contracts. You breach contracts, you're out of the program. You're not going to just be out of our program. You're going to be out of any program. It doesn't even make sense. So you are losing some use of the boat only when it's paid for. Okay. Your ability to drive the boat. Do you want to captain the boat yourself? So what's the insurance going to allow you to do? And what's your skill level? We can train you up on bigger boats, of course, but are you really going to be taking the helm of an 80-foot boat if you've only owned a 20-foot boat in your life? Not anytime soon. Okay. It's going to take years. Okay. So consider your own ability to drive and your willingness and wanting to drive. Do you even want? I don't care. I don't want to drive a boat personally. I'm not going to drive a boat anytime soon. I'll hire a captain anytime I go out. I like to be on boats. I don't like to drive boats. Just my thing. Okay. So it's a preference. And then what location and market are you going to keep this boat? It's another thing to consider. What are my costs there? Why do I want to keep it there? Do I want to keep it there because somebody told me to? Or I've been going there since I was a child and I have great memories there that I can't wait to bring my father and mother and show them my success. We used to come here on a budget to Dania Beach every year, and they could barely afford it. And we drove down in our car, and now I can afford a yacht and I can spoil my mom and dad or something like that. These are like real stories that I'm sharing with you. But what's the location market that's important to you? If no market or location is important to you, let's go somewhere low cost, high traffic. Give us the freedom to move your boat around and do what we need to do with it. And then you can come fly down and visit it anywhere you want. So it's all about you. Really, that wraps up the video, but I hope this was really informative. Main things here, folks. We want to buy a boat that fits the owner first, but when they make that purchase, it actually fits the charter model. We have folks constantly asking what type of boat is best. And that is a mixture of factors. What are your goals with the boat? What is your personal taxability? What are we trying to achieve here? Where do you want to keep it? What's your schedule going to be like? And the good news is Anchor is the most flexible program on the planet. You can black out as many dates as you want to use it yourself, but your results are going to be impacted by that. So you have full control of your calendar. There's no doubt about that. So brokers, I hope this video was really helpful. I mean, I went through a lot and I'm going to do a short on this. I highly recommend watching these long versions because there's a lot of little stuff I pepper in there that's just good to pick up. And my team has to watch these so that they're trained. So when you contact our team, they are trained on this stuff. I'm not the only person who knows it. Okay. You can contact our fleet team, fleet@anchorrides.com. You can always get a free P&L for your client. Okay. So if they pick out a couple of boats, uno, dos, tres, send us all 3 links to the boat, year, make, model, asking price, and location. Very important, where the person plans on keeping the boat. And if they don't care, let us know. But year, make, model, LOA, LOA is important, length overall, the asking price, and the location. That's all we need. And I have a form for it. It's going to be in the links in the description of this video, in the comments section. If you have Q&A, go ahead and comment. Hey, would you recommend this boat? Question mark. I'll say yes or no. But we really just want to point our folks in the right direction so that they're putting good inventory on the site and that inventory will turn faster. There's a reason. You guys ever see, so you guys know really quick what Turo is. Turo is the site where you can rent your cars out. And I actually got the idea for this video from a guy who does this for Turo. And there's slingshots on there. Look, why in God's name would I ever own a slingshot unless I had so much money? You know, slingshots, those 3-wheeled, like kind of like a go-kart on rocket steroids. But they rent out really well for tourists. So tourists love to take those around town. They love to take them around. So they're really successful. The most successful car on Turo is a Toyota Camry. So it's not the best car to own, but it's the best car to own on the platform. So we just reviewed the best boats to own on our platform and the types of boats to own. There's a lot more makes and models and brands out there and a much wider range. So we're talking higher dollar amounts, but the benefits are far superior than buying a $50,000 car and getting a 40% tax rebate, or a $100,000 car getting 40%. We're talking big money here, big tax rebates. And if we can get them in the right boat, they can actually have a successful business. This is the boat owner. So boat owners, if you watch this and you need to be connected, reach out, fleet@anchorrides.com, fleet@anchorrides.com, and ask to be connected with a broker partner of ours. If you're not a broker partner of ours and you want to be, you need to email us at fleet@anchorrides.com. I'm a broker from XYZ Corp. I want to be in your partner network. I want to be a part of you guys. I'm interested in this shit. This is amazing. We like this. You don't have to stroke our ego too much, but just let us know you want to be a part of this. So we'll get you in the fold. We'll start recommending you people who want to buy boats. And yeah, it's that easy. So get on the 3-way call with our team. When you get a client, let us do the heavy lifting on the charter side, give you all the information. And that's about it. It's the end of the video today. So hope you enjoyed it. As always, have fun and be safe. Yacht Nerd out.